Good morning. I'm Chaplain John Rollison with the Homestead Area Reserve Base Chapel, and thank you so much for joining us as we continue to study Lent using a devotional series from Cru Ministry. Today is April 11th, 2022, and it is Monday, the day after Palm Sunday. We're going to start today's lesson with a reading from the book of Titus, and we're going to be reading we're going to be reading from chapter 2, verses 11 through 13. For the grace of God has appeared that offers salvation to all people. It teaches us to say no to ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in this present age, while we wait for the blessed hope, the appearing of the glory of our great God and Savior, Jesus the Christ. Now from our devotional reading. There are many ways to get someone to do something. Parents and children know how this works. You can use a reward, you can use persuasion, you can use threats or even passive aggression. I don't recommend either one of those two. These techniques come naturally to most people. But what about God? Does God use passive aggression to get you to do what's right? Does God threaten you to keep you from doing what is wrong? We know that God never does that. And when the Apostle Paul wrote his letter to Titus, it includes an insight into God's method of growing us from a rebellious child to a person who loves and obeys God. It is God's grace that teaches us to say no to what is wrong and yes to what is right. And God's primary tool for our transformation is not the threat of punishment, but the promise of forgiveness. His love changes us into the person that He wants us to be. In the story of Easter, we are preparing to celebrate this weekend, reminds us that when God saw the mess of our life, He did not condemn us, but rather drew near and entered into our world to bring a solution. At the cross, God demonstrated His grace and kindness to us. Now we, His followers, can tune our ears to His voice of grace and love and obey Him because He first loved us. I pray this brought you hope and encouragement today. And until tomorrow, I'm Chaplain John Rollison with the Homestead Area Reserve Base Chapel.